Welcome to The Actor's Choice, where the actors and actresses have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting by actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, direct from Hollywood, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to The Actor's Choice. Roll it, Tony.
Drones have served us so well in the battlefield. Why not allow police to use them for surveillance?
Well, it's music to my ears. Pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure's all mine.
Thank you for coming in. Look forward to your support.
You'll be hearing from us.
Makes sense. Thank you for agreeing to help us. I just hope you're right. Otherwise, I'm going to look bad. And I'll make sure you do, too.
Ladies and gentlemen, my first guest today began very young in theater in Detroit, Michigan. He later moved to California to complete a degree in engineering, but a chance meeting with a veteran actor inspired him to take acting classes. And he did so by training at the Yale School of Drama. And he's become a gifted and intense dramatic actor who now has 100 IMDb actor credits. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Merrick McCartha.
How's it going?
How are you doing, Merrick?
Good to see you.
Good to be seen, all the time, my friend, all the time. Now, here's the deal. Welcome to the Actor's Choice, of course.
Thank you.
But 100 IMDb actor credits, my friend, that means that you did at least 100 auditions. Uh-oh, we got a problem. We have a problem. Tony, we have a problem.
Yeah, he's frozen. So let's see how. There he goes.
Hello, are you there?
Okay, had a little technical problem.
Did I cut out?
It was just
Is
you just froze. That's it.
Okay.
And that's it. That's what it's like in Hollywood. You freeze.
Yeah.
Okay. So 100 IMDb actor credits, my friend. That means that you've done at least 100 auditions. What you have to say for yourself?
It's it's a struggle. It's not as easy as many people might think. That's for sure.
100. I was just telling before we went on the air. I was just saying to Merrick that last week when I was looking at his IMDb record, it said he had 99 credits. Last night when I was writing the show, it said 100 credits. I said, double D. Hey, man, go ahead. Go ahead with your bad self.
Thank you.
Your first IMDb role was in a short history movie called Just a Man. Remember that role?
I do. That was my first time being in any film at all, and it was a period drama, and it was for a film festival and competition. And that was the first time I saw myself up. They screened it in a real theater, so I got my, I'm there with my friends and family, and that was the first time I saw myself up on the big screen. And when I saw myself, I said, yeah, that's what I want to do.
All right, and you've done it. That was a very interesting move because in the moments after Abraham Lincoln's assassination, his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, had to deal with the tragedy that she had witnessed. What was your role in that? What specifically?
Yeah, that's interesting because that role I was playing an ex-slave, and it was one of those things where the director calls me up of the film, and he's Caucasian, and he's like, "So we have this role for you. It's a strong role. It's a pivotal role in the movie, but." And it's an ex-slave, and I thought, really, my first.
Made for you.
But you know what? It was the way it was written, and my character in that really made the movie, and it showed me as a stronger figure, not the kowtowing slave type the stereotype that I was worried about at all. And that movie won awards, multiple awards for that role, for that film overall.
Excellent. Speaking of roles, you've had so many. How do you choose the roles that you get?
Well, I do try to stay with roles that aren't denigrating characters, that don't denigrate other people in some vile sense. You know, like I couldn't have been like a Hannibal Lecter or anything like that. At least starting out, I have this idea that I want to maintain this strong character image that's on the positive side more so. Although I played villains, but not anything that's deplorable in a sense.
He
So
even played some soaps. I saw he's had one in a couple of soaps there. So go ahead.
Yeah. Soap operas are great. I've
Yes.
been a police officer, a doctor, and a detective
Yes.
on the soaps, and
Gotcha.
they move quick. Soaps move
Right.
quick.
By the way, I want to pass this on to any aspiring actor or actress watching this program. Now, Merrick started in 2008. So that's about what, 13, 14 years? And since then, ladies and gentlemen, this man has gotten a role every year since then. To me, that person personifies what actors really do. That's work. They get work. Best year was 2017 when you had 14 roles that year. How do you do it, my friend? How do you do it?
You know, that's I think part of that was networking, because once you get in this business, it's not just about your skill, it's not just about your look, it is about how well you network and get to know people and show them that you work well. And so that year was one of those years where I had several people reaching out, plus my regular auditions. They're like, "Hey, we'd like you to be a part of our project." That was that, and that's something that continues throughout my career. I have people call me up, say, "Hey, I'm doing this movie. I'd love you to play this role."
Gotcha. Because I noticed that you love to do short films. In fact, out of the 100 roles that you've done, 41 of them were short films.
Correct.
That's great.
Correct. And it's a matter of luck. I mean, I managed to get in with a group of people that were very talented filmmakers. So most of those short films are award-winning short films.
Yes.
But it's like it was kind of a luck thing. Preparation plus opportunity kind of thing.
Okay. Of all the roles that you've had, which one or ones was your favorite?
Ooh, favorite. It's hard to say. I mean, I'm currently recurring on the show All American right now, and that's a great role as a father. I get a lot for that. But the first role that was big for me was when I was on Scandal, part of your clip there, working with Kerry Washington.
Yes.
And Lisa Kudrow was also in the scene, and it was one of those where I was like, I mean, at one point, because Carrie is so poised and beautiful, and I'm sort of quietly in awe of her. And then at one point, she's between takes, she stops. She goes, "Merrick, you're so smooth. I love your work." And I was like, I couldn't speak. You know, it's one of those the admiration you get from a successful, talented actor. And that was one of my more favorite moments. That also encouraged me to pursue and persist, because with acting, with auditioning, you don't get the job every time you audition, but your job is to audition. You got to prepare, and you have to go in there and do it. And what's your success, for one, is getting the audition, and for two, is walking out there knowing that you did a great job in your audition, because that's what's going to matter in the long run. And you got to keep the long run in perspective, not the short term where you book in every job, but over the long term, are you doing great work? Are the casting directors noticing? Or are they calling you back in to audition?
Aspiring actors and actresses, I hope you listen to what he said. Good advice. Good advice. Now, you're an active member of the prestigious Road Theater Company. Can you tell us about that group?
That's in Los Angeles, in the Burbank area. There's a group of actors, and I was, again, by just happenstance, met someone that was a member, and they invited me and referred me to audition for the group. So they do original plays. We do original plays every year. There's a playwrights festival for a wide range of playwrights, and award-winning plays pretty much every year. And these are the company consists of actors you see on television all the time. I mean, these people that are on the show Lost, that are on on famous movies and things like that. These are these people that are in this group. So I was, again, very fortunate to be a part of that.
Okay. You just mentioned a few moments ago, All American. You got a role in that film series. Please tell us about that series.
That is it's a show. It's about a football team in Beverly Hills, and it's a lot of drama surrounding the students in this high school football team. And so I landed the role as the father of one of the characters in the show. And through, again, hard work and showing that I can manage any kind of situation when they need me to do something that they hadn't prepared for on set, they brought me back in for another episode. Now I'm in for another episode. It's sort of this thing when you go in, you show you know what you're doing, that you work hard, they'll bring you back in. That's kind of where that show is.
Excellent. Tony, roll it.
So why'd you abandon Beverly?
I ain't abandoned nobody. My family, my community, they needed me.
This field is our home.
That's why we're gonna clean it up.
Do we look like garbage men to you?
We signed up to play football. You signed up to do what I say.
Y'all gonna see a lot of me. Ain't nothing gonna change, except for the color of your jersey. You turned your back on me.
I raised the GPA requirement for athletic participation this year. Good luck scraping your team together.
I lied to you. You have to promise not to tell anyone. It's like the biggest summer secret ever.
I love these little 30-second sound bites. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them.
Yeah.
Yes. Another role that you've done is called Ira Aldridge.
Correct.
Who is Ira Aldridge?
Ira Aldridge is the first Black actor to perform Othello on a London stage. This is back in the early 1800s. And he is originally from New York City, but he immigrated to England because he had a passion for theater. And in New York, where he's from, he had a lot of struggle with being able to get roles on stage in general, let alone, Shakespeare. And he encountered the same in England. But it's a great saga. And we did a film about his life, where we talked about his starting point in New York, being the son of a preacher, and then how I go to this thing in the movie about why preachers are leaders in a community, where that came from for African Americans in America, and then how he decided he wanted to do something more than that, and he wanted to be in theater, and he just took that further, and his drive for the art and also the social nature and power of the theater stage, because at the time that was the movie theater of the time. You go in there and you can basically promote and talk and interact with the audiences. And being the first Black actor to do Othello prior to that had been done in blackface by white actors for years. And so one of the interesting moments or parts of his story is that there was a fervent argument against him doing Othello because he was Black, even though the character is Black.
Right.
And that was because at the time, African Americans were not considered of a intellectual acuity to handle something as sophisticated as Shakespeare. So he did that very well, and he became the first actor to ever be knighted by anyone. People don't know. Yeah.
Wow. I see you did your homework, my brother. See, you did your homework.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. What made you take this role?
Stories like that, overcoming adversity, having a passion for your craft, and then having this desire to make a change in the world. And that's something that he took through his life. And also the challenge of doing a lot of Shakespeare. For the film, I studied with Shakespeare coaches, and we did, in the film, there's a couple of scenes from Shakespeare, which I love to do. And so to get a better perfection of that was another driving force. And again, this is during the pandemic, so it gave me a lot to do and with my time. So that was fascinating and great.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at American action. Roll it, Tony.
I was born a free Negro, born to be proud, destined to be great. But the greatest story of my life had already been written by William Shakespeare.
Most potent, grave, and reverend signors,
Wow. I want to let you know, I sincerely want to thank the creator, the writer, executive producer, Alan Wasserman, for bringing this project to our attention. Merrick, you are outstanding. I mean, I saw it a couple of times. I had to go back to it again and again. Look at this actor. The years of training, Yale, all that stuff. That's good. You put it all together for that moment when that camera's on you and you got to do your job.
Absolutely.
You sure enough did it. Folks, I tell folks, go see it if you get it when it comes. Now, when's it going to come out?
It's still in the festival circuit right now, so we're looking at a release date once we get through places like Sundance and the Martha Vineyard's African American Film Festival. These kind of places we're going to. So.
Wow, what's it like doing a one-man role? You like that?
I was worried that people get sick of seeing me on camera for that length of time.
Handsome young man.
Exactly. But it was a challenge, but it was something that I love because it allowed me to kind of really branch out and do things. Normally, I'm doing these serious authoritative doctor, police officer, detective, and this is another kind of character. He is a period piece back in the 1800s, and also this Shakespearean thespian, which was really fun to play.
Okay. Folks, when it comes out, please go see it. You won't regret it. This man does a lot of work. You have 8 other projects going on right now. Grass does not grow under your feet. Let's see, Denard 3 Falling Apart is one of them.
Right, that's an action series that I'm part of. The French actor leads off the story, but it's about a sort of an action hero, and I'm a doctor in this as well. but yeah, it's a great project. It's done quite well itself.
Wow, you got a lot of stuff out there. Merrick, I want to thank you very, very much for being here. Really appreciate your presence, sir. And again, much thanks to Alan Wasserman. You have 100 credits. Now, here's what I say, brother. Go get another 100.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Great talking to you, man.
I appreciate it. Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, Merrick McCartha. This is the Actor's Choice. I'm your host, Ron Brewington. If you have a product or service or an upcoming event that you'd like to see advertised on this program, just call us at 323-533-1036. That's 323-533-1036. Our prices are very, very affordable. Very affordable. Say it again, Ron. Very affordable. And we want to thank you. Okay? The Actor's Choice. I'm your host, Ron Brewington. Roll it.
You haven't seen the last of me, Thurman, but see, you can bet on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're making another journey out to New Mexico today with my next guest. Now, in the state of New Mexico, especially in cities like Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Las Cruces, there is a plethora of talent in the business. And I mean directors, actors, writers, producers, and on and on and on. My guest today does it all, and I call her a filmmaker's filmmaker when you see all the work that she's done. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ramona Emerson. Hi, Ramona.
Hello, Ron. How are you?
I am good and even better since I see you. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Welcome to the Actor's Choice. First of all, you are let me see if I say this word right, Dene?
Dene, yes.
Okay, please explain.
Well, Dene is the Navajo word, a Navajo word that describes the Navajos, I guess you would say. Well, we are the Dene, which translates to the people in the Navajo language. So a lot of people who call us Navajo, but we identify ourselves as Dene people.
Now, the films you've done over the past 20 years, that's a lot of films. Tell us about what inspiration that you get and use in the production of your films.
Well, a lot of it has to do with just personal experiences. And I pull a lot of the stories from things that happened to me in my childhood or things that happened to people in my family. So a lot of my early stuff has been based on that as far as my narrative films. But when I moved into documentary, not much has changed. I still continue to tell stories about and in my communities.
Okay. So in other words, through the storytelling that you do, you look at contemporary stories about your people.
That's right. And I try to tell contemporary stories because I feel like a lot of documentary and a lot of projects that come out about Native people are about us in the past. And I think that's been done. We know what our history is. And now I think it's really important to tell stories about what's happening now.
Yes. Because when you look in the newspaper, everywhere you go, it's anti-this person, that person. And a lot of times people don't even know. I was talking to a guy one time as an African-American, and I was using the word middle passage. He had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So, it makes you mad. You need to understand, know your culture. Know your culture,
That's right.
please.
That's right.
The year was 2006. Your first project was a short documentary called The Last Trek.
Yes.
What did you learn from that project?
I learned that I was not as tough as I thought I was. The great part of that project was that I got to meet and talk to a lady named Helena Bitsili, who I had known my whole life but didn't really know. She was my grandmother's neighbor on the reservation, and we were always afraid of her because she had a big herd of sheep, and she had big sheep dogs out there that would bark at us when we walked by her house, and we just knew to stay out of there because we weren't supposed to be over there. And so I just had this perception of her. But once I got older and I got to meet her and talk to her and do an interview with her, I realized what an extraordinary woman she was. And I really got to meet a dynamic woman, and I got to herd sheep. And I got to walk 28 miles in one day up in a mountain. And we did it 3 times so we could get all the film we needed. So I got in shape, and I also got to meet this really nice lady and develop a great relationship with her.
Native Americans, the word reservation does not mean they don't like that term. Tell us about it.
Well, there's a lot of Native communities that don't live on reservations. They have an allotment, or they have, but it's all about kind of what the U.S. government did to Native people. And basically, when they came and they took the land and they claimed it as their own, and they started building on it, and they put us into these places that they deemed reservations. And so that's why I think it's a very I think a lot of Native people don't really have positive things to say about the word reservation for that reason, because it's kind of like, they put us in these little squares and told us we had to live there, and that's our only land that we had now. So I could see where I think you can see why a lot of Natives don't really like that term. But a lot of people live in villages or pueblos, and like I say, there's a lot of different terms for what that is, but that's basically what it is.
I'm still waiting for my 40 acres and the mules. So
Yeah.
that's where that goes.
Yeah.
2008, you did a short documentary called A Return Home.
Ah, yes. Return Home is actually a documentary that we did about my mother. My mother is an artist.
Yes.
And she's a painter. She's an incredible lady, but she's kind of dealt with the same things I've dealt with a lot of time as an artist my whole life, and that is what people think of you and expect to see. I think for her, I think people expect to see a certain kind of artwork from her. She's a Navajo woman. I think they expect her to create Navajo art, which would be maybe something with sand paintings, or they would expect her to paint hogans or paint the Navajo reservation. But that's not what would happen. Hold on, I got something happening. It'll just take a second.
Okay. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Okay.
I apologize.
That's okay.
My mother, I think she's a Navajo artist, and so people expect her to create Navajo art, or maybe be a weaver or something like that. But my mom does these very stylized, very cool. I love her landscape painting, and she does a lot of conservation work as far as conserving how landscapes on the reservation are. And so we did a film about her and about her return back to living on the reservation after living in the city for many, many years. And how the reservation kind of shunned her, because I think when there's natives that live on the reservation and somebody goes away to college, or they go away and they become a little more worldly, they travel the world, whatever it is they do, and they come back, I think a lot of people think that now they're tainted, or, oh, they think they're so smart now. And so there was an attitude, I think, to her coming home and being mistreated in her own community. And so the film touches a little bit on that, but it also touches on how she uses her art to bridge that gap. To create.
You live on a reservation?
My mother does. My husband and I live in Albuquerque in the city. So, and my mom still lives in my grandmother's house that's featured in the film. She still lives there after my grandma passed away in 2001. She stayed there.
Well, I'd like to read one of your thoughts about yourself. You said, I think as an artist, one of the biggest obligations is to tell the truth. That's our gift, that we're able to do that.
Right.
Marvelous.
Well, as documentarians, I think that is what we do. We tell stories that are true. We document things that are happening as they are happening, and the human reaction to those things that are happening. So as a documentarian, I think it's really kind of like, we're the historians. We're telling what's going on as it's happening. So I think it's really important to make sure to tell the truth and to make sure that history is true.
And integrity, we call it, definitely.
Right.
You've been called a troublemaker. Is that so?
Well, if that's what, if you know, if you're not doing culturally relevant art, or you know, if you're trying to be one of those filmmakers who comes into communities to tell stories about people that are not your community, then yes, I am a troublemaker, because I will call you out and ask you why you're doing that. I think that especially right now, I think there's a huge revolution in filmmakers of color that are coming forward and talking about why it's important for us to tell our own stories, because I think we've seen over the past 50, 60 years what it looks like when people who are not from our community come into our community and tell our stories for us. That means that story is not necessarily our story anymore. That story has become some other filmmaker's story. And so I really work to make sure that we can create opportunities for young filmmakers who are from our communities to tell these stories, to give them the equipment to do so, and to give them the training and the funding to do so. And there's no better way to support that than by teaching and making sure that you can kind of create those opportunities.
Yes.
Otherwise, people were going to continue to tell our stories, and they're going to continue to create a false narrative about us and about our community.
Got you. By the way, we showed one of your works, Opal, which was released in 2011 at the beginning of this interview. I just want people to see that, what that was. 2017, The Mayors of Shiprock.
Yes, The Mayors of Shiprock. We worked on this film for, probably longer than, about 5 years, but it's probably a little longer than that.
Okay.
But I think the key thing about the Mayors of Shiprock is that there is no mayor of Shiprock. I think people don't understand that about the reservation. It's a place where there is no ownership for Native people. There's no mayor, there's no governor, or there's no leadership on the ground level. So there's also, no garbage man. There's no civic anything on the reservation. So a lot of people just don't have basic necessities.
Right.
Just basic necessities. So when I met these young people in 2012, I met the young man who we actually kind of nicknamed the mayor, and he's the kind of the main protagonist in the film. His name is Graham Bayall, and he made these great strides to do things for his community. And we just asked him one day, can we film you? I mean,
Yes.
Some of this work that you're doing is really incredible. And over the process of 5 years, we became part of Graham's family, and we became part of the Northern Dene Youth Committee's family. And they are a group of young Navajo people who just kind of took it upon themselves to clean up and to raise up their community. And we knew that we needed to showcase this, because so often in Native documentary world, so many of the stories are so sad. They're so full of poverty. There's no hope. And it's sad to see the state of Native documentaries have to always be about hardship and horrible things happening. And I was just determined, as in this film, as I was determined in all the other films, to show and empower our people on screen. And so the same goes for the Mayors of Shiprock. I wanted to make sure that people understood that people think of Navajo people, maybe they think that they drink, or that they're lazy, or that they're comfortable living in poverty. They don't understand anything because they've never been there. So I made it a mission of mine to make sure that I tell stories that are positive, that I tell stories that counter that narrative. That's where the Mayors of Shiprock really fell in for me. And it was our first feature that we made, and that was funded by PBS. And I'm so proud of them, and I'm so proud of the film, because I mean, even if I never make another film in my life, I will always be proud of them and of that film, because we changed the narrative. And nobody can say that there's not a positive film about Native country now. there is. And if you ever ask, I'll tell you which one it is. It's the Mayors of Shiprock.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mayors of Shiprock. Roll it, Tony.
As Navajo people, that's how we are. People that took the initiative to take it upon themselves to improve things in their home. As a people, as a community, as a family, you work together and everyone has a role in that family.
I would do anything for my community. People always kind of shun you on that, saying that you're thinking too big. That can't be done. And I see it, and I see like we can do it. We can change things. We just need to put our minds together, our knowledge together, and get it done.
There they are, the Mayors of Shiprock. Indeed, indeed. Okay, 2020, got just a few minutes left. You did a movie called P.O.B. Okay. Okay. And I understand that you're working on your 8th project. It's called Crossing the Line. Can you tell us about that, Lamont, a little bit?
Yes, Crossing the Line is actually a docuseries that we're currently working on. And the docuseries chronicles 4 towns bordering the Navajo reservation in New Mexico and Arizona. So we are making a film about the effects and the fight against racial injustice on border towns surrounding. And so we're looking around Albuquerque, Flagstaff, and Winslow, Farmington, New Mexico, and what else did I miss here? Albuquerque, Farmington, Flagstaff, and Gallup. Those are the 4 towns that we're really basing our series on, and we're really discussing the issues. If it's either racial violence, police violence, there's so many different things that are happening against Native and Native people in those communities, and we just want to make sure and give voice to what's going on there.
Got you. Got just a few moments here. Got a couple of photos I want to show. Tony, can you show photo number 1?
Oh yes, yeah, that was us. We filmed a short film for PBS up in Canada. And it's a film called The Protector, and it's about a young Navajo veteran. And
photo number 2.
That's a still from Opal. Yeah, that's Opal. That's us shooting at the grocery store out on the reservation with our 2 young stars, Bunny and Opal.
Next photo.
Oh, that's on the set of A Return Home.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Next photo. Who's that handsome young man in there?
That's my husband, Kelly.
Yes.
And we are basically real Indian pictures. That's us.
I see.
And we do all the crewing and the editing and everything.
Right. All I got to say is it's a pleasure to meet you finally.
Very
And we need to get back together again. We ran out of time, but we'll have you back again.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramona. God bless you. Take care of yourself. Okay?
All right.
This is the Actors. Want to thank you for all you men. And this is the Actor's Choice. I'm Ron Brewington. Roll it, Tony.
I feel that we've been growing apart. We've changed a lot over the last 4 years, and that...
Wait, are you breaking up with me?
Well...
That's funny, because I was going to break up with you.
Hello.
And...
Oh. Well, it's kind of funny, isn't it?
Kinda. So you were just gonna come over here and break up with me after I made you this beautiful dinner.
Well, I mean,
Is there someone else?
What I feel...
That's my next guest. Stood right in that guy's face and said, hey, someone else maybe? My next guest today says it's like being like many of her colleagues. She's been on the stage since childhood. Now, she says growing up in a military family and moving from place to place always left room for a fresh new audience. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lindsey Norris. Lindsey. Thank you for showing up today. Thank you, my dear. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to the Actor's Choice. And by the way, I was a military man, 22 years, United States Navy, myself. Yep. So I know what it's like moving around like that. But the acting bug, that bug went out there and bit you a long time ago, didn't it?
It did. But I remember my mother having to drag me off the stage at the Officers Club during karaoke night because, you know, the sound of music just needed to be heard by all these random military families.
So in college, you did a little directing, huh?
I did. I went to Boise State, and their program, I just wasn't getting on stage enough, and I got antsy and started directing my own. I directed like student-run shows, and then directed outside of college at local theaters, and loved it. It was wonderful.
You know, my mouth did like this when you said that, because a bone that I have to pick with actors and actresses, if you watch this show all the time, you will hear Ron Brewington saying this. There are people who come here to Los Angeles, aka Hollywood, with illusions of grandeur. I want to be a star. Well, that's fine. Okay. They do television. They do film. But they won't get up on that stage.
I love it.
Thank you.
I think there's a different high that comes from being on a stage that you can't get behind a camera. But I love it.
What's that expression? To be or not to be?
Exactly.
That is the question, right. Yeah, so you were given an opportunity to work on amazing Broadway shows, huh?
I was. While I was in college, I worked for this giant performance center. It's kind of like Fantages, but for Idaho. And we got to have amazing Broadway shows come through, and they would tech for us before they moved to Los Angeles or New York to start the run of their shows. And Warhorse was one of the most amazing experiences I have ever had. It was 3 weeks of just a wonderful cast, wonderful crew, and, you know, sent them on their way to Los Angeles. And of course, the second they got there, I was getting texts from all my actors that I was working with, like, are you sure you just don't want to come with us? Like, are you sure you want to be an actor? Because you could be here working for us instead. And I was like, well, tempting, but I want to be in your shoes, not working for your shoes.
Right. Just as I hear the words coming out your mouth, it just reminds me of what I do for a living. I'm a professor over at Santa Monica College, and we have a theater college over there. And I mean, when you go to school, as I always tell these kids, as you come out of high school, you have a chance to meet people who will be friends for the rest of your life. And then you're working in a theater involvement like that, you really get a chance to work with some good people.
It's very, very true. Very true. I'm still very close with many of the actors and crew from the shows that came through, where we still keep in contact, and it's you meet these people and they influence you for the rest of your life.
Amen. Now, you said you graduated from Boise State University, and then you moved here to Los Angeles to attend the American Academy of Dramatic Arts to get that what I call education.
Right, exactly. Which was such a wonderful experience because it's just focused on acting, where like a BA program is a little bit of everything. And the academy was just very laser focused on acting and perfecting your talent for film and for stage, because, you know, it kind of goes across the board in Los Angeles. Right. So, yeah.
I have a little thing I call the 3 E's: education, exposure, and experience.
I love that.
Write it down. In fact, one of my classes I teach broadcasting, and I write on a piece of paper and I hold it up to people like this. It says, how bad do you want to get into broadcasting? I said, you need to put that sign everywhere. Put it up there so you'll know what you want.
Just see it every day.
Right. Because the reality is, and we know this, there's a lot of competition in this town.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like, you know, if you're, like we were talking before, you know, if you're here for fame and stardom, like, you're here for the wrong reasons. Like, this is an art and a life. And if you are, you know, expecting to be the next big thing, then you're not here for the right reasons. You know, it's about spreading an art and a story that someone else couldn't tell, you know.
Yes. And this is where family and friends come in right there, right? What you're saying.
Very
the support that you get from them to help you get through what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So now you're in Hollywood. How did it feel when you first came here?
Oh, I remember I came for my audition into the academy where you had to
Big
come
A,
in.
right? Uh-huh.
And I was like, is this is not what I've seen in the movies. Like what is this? It was a huge like realization that, they glam things up, but also there's always something to do.
Right.
There, but before this whole pandemic, there was always a play to see or a screening to go to,
right.
or a poetry read. There was always something that was creative and artistic, and that's where I was like, nope, this is where I'm supposed to stay. Like, I love that there's always something in this great little big city of ours.
Indeed, indeed. Now, we call it the Big A auditions, but you got a role in a movie called Uncorked. What was that like?
It was actually a web series that my mentor and my former teacher from the academy was in, and it was wonderful. It was all women writers, directors. They created it all for themselves, and it was such a wonderful experience. Not only was I was able to like work hands-on behind the scenes, but they would just put me in there every chance they got to be, the extra, which I was, sitting there and learning from these wonderful, wonderful women who are so creative and so talented, creating such a fun and original story, and, being able to see something artistic come from the ground up, right. And I had such a wonderful time. I was, I believe my official title character was Olga. I was a masseuse. and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience, and just a joy to see these powerful women creating such an amazing work.
Right.
Yeah.
Your attitude is marvelous, my dear. With my first guest, he has 100 and you have 2. So again, like we say, we see one at that side, one at that side, and that's the way this business is all about.
It is.
People coming in and people going out. Just moving along.
Yep.
Moving along. Yep. By the way, folks, in case you didn't get it, it was her first movie, but she got first IMDb actress credit. Mm-hmm. She got a first IMDb script supervisor credit. She also got first IMDb production assistant credit. All these credits out of just one movie. Yep. Great attitude, Lindsey. Great attitude. Okay. You got your SAG after card.
I did, yes.
That's fun. Here's one of my questions. When you are on the set, mm-hmm. okay, what's the one place you really like to be besides in front of the camera on the set? Where else would you like to be?
Oh, goodness. I think there's not a place that I don't like to be, because I started on the stage, and then I went into like behind the scene production.
Yeah.
All of that is completely fascinating to me. Like, if I could attach myself to the director and just listen to their thoughts, and
I've had people say that. Yes.
That would be, amazing, but also being able to see the people that I'm watching on screen,
yes,
and how they continue to do things over and over and over again, and with so much feeling and emotion as the very first time.
Yes.
And then them being exhausted by the end of the day. Like, I think that's like that's my dream, is to be able to do that whenever and however many times I want for the rest of my life. That's the greatest place to be, I think.
Now, Lindsey, if you would ask me that same question, where would I like to be on the set?
Where would you like to be on the set?
Where to keep the food at, my dear.
They do that. Craft services, man.
Craft services, oh yes.
Know what they're doing.
I've been an extra in a few moments, and I mean, Eddie Murphy, when we did Harlem Nights, that man had us eating all that food. I went, oh, yep. Delicious. Yes. You meet a lot of people.
You do, yes.
Being an extra is not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's a nice gig to
Got you.
Be someone who's naturally in the background and just living your own little extra life, and then eat some good food and meet some great people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now then you had, let's see, according to this, it says your second role was a short called Be the Best You. Did they leave something off at the end of that?
No.
The best you can? Is that what I was thinking? I think, where's the can? Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, this was a short that my friend did. He needed somebody to be in there at he called me at the last minute and said, you know, I need somebody who's going to be the cheerful person, just is the receptionist that this person sees every single day. There was a story about a man really finding himself and, you know, coming into who he is as a person. And so, you know, seeing his progression every single day coming into his job. And I had to be that face of that person who was like, this is, you know, this standard guy. And then realizing oh, you have come into yourself, you know, this is the evolution of someone and through somebody else's eyes, which was really fun. Yeah.
Got you. Now you're currently studying with a veteran actor, Rob Brownstein, who has a training school for actors called An Actor's Space. What are you learning and how are you learning?
Rob is wonderful. His style is unlike any other teacher that I've had in Los Angeles, outside of an academic setting. And his philosophy, I feel, is, you know, as an actor, you have to put in 90% of the work and your agent or manager puts in 10%. So why would it be any different in a classroom setting? So we find our own scenes, we pick our own scene partners, and we do what we want in the roles that we think we can bring something new and different and ourselves into it. So, you know, you could have seen the scene a million times done the same way as the actor who originally portrayed them, but how do you do it? How do you bring something new and different and interesting to the table? And I have learned so much. I've been able to watch other actors come into the class and grow into this natural state of being, which is wonderful to watch. It's a very hands-on class. We discuss and talk a lot about this industry, a lot about each other's work, growth, strengths, weaknesses, and it's overall wonderful. Like during the pandemic, we've had the hardship of not being in an actual classroom anymore, on an actual stage. And that has really, at first, you know, a lot of us were like, oh, I don't know, you know, over Zoom, it's not going to be the same. But you've really been able to find this connection, which you get in front of a camera. Yes. You know, on set, you have to have complete honesty. There's no hiding behind anything like you can kind of do on a stage or in front of somebody. It's very close. You see everything. And it's given the opportunity for all of us in the class to really behave naturally and be more comfortable in front of a camera. Our self-tapes for auditions have definitely improved, and many of us have been getting callbacks and bookings, and it's been wonderful, you know, like being able to experience the same thing we were in class, but on a completely different level. That is, I feel, so perfect for Los Angeles in this industry. So
got you. So let's take a look at a self-tape class with Rob Brownstein. Roll it, Tony.
All right.
To get breakfast?
Yeah, to get breakfast and then live somewhere else. But actually, I'm not going to go get breakfast.
What? You were just going to vanish without saying a word?
I mean, there probably would have been like a email at some point.
Going out, hun?
All right. I like the way you move. You change your hair color. You do all kinds of different things. I've seen her as a blonde. I've seen her in different colors. Indeed.
Yeah, you know, it's the pandemic. I've been just trying to be happy in it.
Okay. Talking about happiness, I got another photo here. I think you'd like to see it. Can you put it up there, Tony? Who is that?
That's my mother. We got matching shirts for Christmas, and
yes.
You know, and she's
I always tell people, hold on to mom. You only get one mom. Hold on to mom. Sure. I tell my students, I say, you know, when any of my grandkids, they know how I feel about their mama, my daughter. I say, go over there and put some lips on that woman and tell her how much you love her. Tell her how much you love her. Say, okay, grandpa. Okay, grandpa. I said, and if you did one, go back and do another one. Shoot, what the heck?
Yep.
When mom's not here no more, you don't know. I've lost mine 15 years ago, and every day a day don't go by that I don't think about her.
Yep.
They don't go by. Indeed. Got another surprise for you. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Roll it, Tony. was the piano playing dog. Is that your dog? Is that your dog?
No. So my grandmother's a piano teacher, and I grew up playing the piano, and our dogs used to do that all the time, and so that was a little clip that my grandma and I constantly send to each other. Of everybody can create art, even
even the dog can do it. Right, indeed. Lindsey, thank you very much for stopping on by. We wish you the best in the future roles that you do. Please take care. I'll be seeing you.
I'll see you. Bye, Ron.
Thank you now. Thanks for our sponsors, Harvey Randman Photography is an Art, Ron Irwin's Haiku, Style, Passion, Heart, Larry Buford's Book to the Future, Time Travel, Message in a Capsule, State Farm agent Carla Green, and veteran actor Rob Brownstein's Actor Training School and Actor Space. And much, much thanks to our guest today, actor-producer Merrick McCartha, editor, director, cinematographer Ramona Emerson, and actress Lindsey Norris. And of course, special thanks to our ever growing audience. Be well. We'll see you next time.